Content distribution. So now that we've got the different types of content, the articles, the podcasts, the videos, the press releases, the PDFs, the white papers, now, as we kind of alluded to in the last one, now we need to make a really strong effort on distributing this content. We want to widen our online footprint. So it's really important that we have a Facebook page that's fresh and up to date. Back again, all of this, if we put a little underline under all of this, it's content. And if you think about the internet, it is only content, whether it's audio, video, text, it's only content. So we want to make sure we've got good content distribution to Facebook, to Twitter, Google+, YouTube. If you're podcasting, which I highly recommend businesses consider, to Spreaker, iTunes, SlideShare. There's just, if you've got the content and you've taken the time to actually amass this content, there's lots of great, highly reputable websites that you can submit it to for free that will give you great benefit with Google.
All right. And the last one, and I want to put like a drum roll in here. Number 5.
Well, a drum roll is a good thing because this really is this is important because it gets back to if we can master these 5 things or even do them reasonably well. And when we talked in the last session about your competitors and looking at their online footprint, with a little bit of effort here, we can get so far ahead of them just by taking this into consideration. So if we flip right back up to the number 1 item for a second, content quality. If we've got really high quality content, number 5 becomes easy because number 5 is simply content popularity. And right. Google looks at how popular this content is these days, and they've got many ways to do so. In the early days, they would look at a page, and they still do, but now it's only one factor, where if a page of content was getting linked to from other websites, they would look at that page as more popular than a page that wasn't linked to. But now in this new social era that we live in, they look at other things to determine, in addition to what we call a backlink or an inbound link, they look at things like how often is the page being liked? How often is the page being tweeted about? And we've all seen the little social sharing buttons at the top of a page. How often is it being the Google Plus button being clicked on? Are there any comments? A lot of these sites have a comment, a field down at the bottom of the page for the reader to engage and ask some questions and leave a comment. How many comments are being left? So really, Google can have a good look at this. So if we're churning out content and nobody's sharing it, nobody's liking it, nobody's plussing it, nobody's commenting on it, it's like, who cares? And Google looks at it the same way. So we want to make sure we're focused on high quality content that's frequently being developed, that is in a great variety, that's being well distributed, and that's also popular. And this gets back to authenticity. One of the things Google looks at, as we said earlier, it needs to be authentic. Well, one of the ways they can tell if it's authentic content is through popularity.
And of course, if people want to learn more about these, I'm sure we're going to sort of peel apart and sort of the understanding how to do some of these things.
Exactly. That's what we're going to get into. We're going to start digging into this as we move through each of these sessions. We're going to kind of continue to pull back the layers because I can pretty much hear some people thinking, "Oh my God, there's going to be a lot of work to do," and there will be some work to do, but we're going to set it up in such a way that it's easy, it's manageable, and it's fun. And not only that, it's highly profitable. You'll be able to outrank your competitors and get such a head start over them and such a lead into the distance here that they're going to wonder where the heck you came from all of a sudden.
Well, that's a great place to stop, a nice cliffhanger, because we're out of time. And just a reminder to the listeners that if you have any questions or require any sort of assistance, you can reach James's team at jambMEDIA and the School of Internet Marketing at 604-542-0747 and at jambMEDIA.com. James, until next time, we'll get all the answers. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about the School of Internet Marketing and to get access to all exclusive courses and interviews, visit theschoolofinternetmarketing.com. That's www.theschoolofinternetmarketing.com.
Local stories, local voices. We're localwebradio.fm.